Good morning and welcome to Volt News at 9 o'clock. I am Mavis Atodumi. An executive bill that will harmonize, consolidate, and provide administrative backing for revenue collection has been passed by the Enugu State House of Assembly. The bill, which scaled through the second and third reading on Monday, was wholeheartedly supported by members at the plenary. On the national scene, the Nigerian Labour Congress has suspended its planned nationwide protests against the recent 50% hike in telecom tariff approved by the federal government. The Labour Union announced the protest last week, citing the burden the tariff increase will place on Nigerians. Speaking to journalists after the meeting, NLC President Joe Ajero said the government has agreed to set up a larger committee to review the entire tariff structure. Still in the news, the Central Bank of Nigeria has extended the temporary access granted to Bureau de Change operators in purchasing foreign exchange from the Nigerian foreign exchange market till May 30th, 2025. This extension was disclosed in a circular issued by Monday by the Trade and Exchange Department of the Access Bank, allowing BDCs to continue purchasing forex from authorized dealers under existing conditions. Now in business news, the dollar to naira black market rate for today is buying at 1,590 naira and selling at 1,610 naira. The CBN rate, dollar to naira rate for today is buying at 1,477 naira and selling at 1,478 naira. Still in the news, Nigeria's exchange rate has appreciated significantly in January 2025, gaining 63.72% against the dollar to close at 1,474 naira 0.78 per dollar on January 31st at the Nigerian Exchange Foreign Market. The sharp increase has been attributed to policies implemented by the CBN, which have influenced market dynamics and contributed to currency strengthening. And in sports, the management of Kano Pillars FC has suspended the club's technical advisor, Usman Abdullah, for 3 weeks due to the team's poor performance. The chairman of the club, Ali Umar, said Badala was also suspended over his conduct towards fans immediately after the Nigeria Premier Football League. The March Day 2022 goalless draw against Bayelsa United. And on the foreign scene in the sports, Aston Villa have signed Marcus Rashford on loan from Manchester United for the rest of the season on Sunday to end the England international's exile under Ruben Amorim at the Old Trafford. And that is the news. Thank you for joining us. I am Mavis Atodumi.
About to kick in, so strap your boot and hold your breath. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Play ball. Hello, Enugu, and welcome to Volt 104.3 FM, where music meets the voltage. Take a break and enjoy the show. Sport. Alex Iwobi gets the ball out to the left-hand side. The delivery comes in. Oh, it's a great goal! Entertainment. News and politics. Enugu State governor has separate school. This is your radio. Gospel. And let them have dominion. The kingdom of God is within people. Odinibo. Awesome programs exclusively on
Vote 104.3 FM.
Hello, Enugu. Have you heard? Volt 104.3 FM is granting small businesses in Enugu a chance to be heard and to be known. Let us help you advertise your business for as low as 2,500 naira per spot. And if you pay 50,000 naira for 20 spots, we will give you 10 spots for free. For more inquiries, visit Volt 104.3 FM at 64 Osobolo Street by ESBS Junction in Ubu, or call our marketers on 0815 628 5384 or 0816 215 5195.
Vote 104.3 FM.
The wise one once said, life may not be perfect, but your sense of humor can be. Laugh through the challenges and you will find strength.
Vote 104.3 FM.
Good morning and welcome to High Voltage. Today is Tuesday. It's the 4th day of February 2025. Now, the day you have been waiting for is still 10 days ahead, so control yourselves. Welcome to today's episode of the program. My name is Mavis Atudume. We are live on YouTube. Go to High Voltage News, like, subscribe, and share, and you'll be doing us a huge one. Okay, also you can call live into the studio to join me on the newspaper analysis and reviews this morning. You can call 0706 048 5853. You can also call 0915 570 8347. Okay, to be a part of the program this morning. Don't forget these numbers. You can text or you can WhatsApp either of them to be a part of the program this morning. All right, I hope you have begun to make very productive use of your day. We are reviewing headlines, talking about all socio-political issues in our country, topical issues in our country. And don't forget that this program is open for sponsorship and participation. Obviously, you can come to number 64 Ozubulu Street at Independence Layout, where the vote office is, and we will have a very productive conversation with you. Trust me, it always works out. Okay, so straight to the newspapers this morning. We're starting with the Daily Post. The first thing on the news this morning, 50% telecom tariff hike, NatComs backs decision as NLC bows to federal government pressure. Well, this particular headline is not surprising in any way. So yeah, this is the story as usual. Did you really expect anything different? I did not. So I don't know. Tell me what you think this morning. Did you think that when the NLC had announced the protest about the 50% telecom tariff hike, did you think that they were going to see it through? Share your thoughts with me this morning. Drop your comments on our YouTube comment section. It's High Voltage News. Please subscribe now, like and share. Okay, it's High Voltage News. Type that together on the search bar on your YouTube page and you'll be able to find us. And you can also call into the studio this morning to tell me what you think about the stories that we are reviewing this morning. Okay, insecurity, northern governors divided over dialogue and kinetic options. All right, that's going on, that's going around. Also, Kaduna people will judge you for defending Tinubu. El Rufai tackles Governor Sani. Okay, it's happening. It's happening. The political banter, the back and forth, the the charades have begun, if you may. Okay, Oshun Mayhem Governor Adeleke orders arrest as community leaders give insight to the incident. Moving forward, transfer deadline, Nigerian players make successful and failed moves. Sorry, that wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but hey, it's the news. All right, let's take it downwards and tell you that Northwest governors meet the UN, AFDB officials to advance regional development. All right, moving on, banditry and insecurity by 2025 ending, Tinubu gives the military marching orders. Okay, that's good. And he also tweeted at Thames, the musician, for winning her Grammy Awards in America Saturday night. The president had tweeted at Thames Baby on her official and on his official X account, and I guess that was a big win for Nigeria, though someone like me and a bunch of us were worried that the president's official handle was tweeting at Thames for winning the Grammys when we expected him to make some official statements from that account during some of the very terrible, tragic incidents that happened in Nigeria from the very first day of January 1st, 2025. That account hadn't tweeted much. Not the explosions, not the loss of lives all over the country, none of those. But it tweeted at Thames Baby yesterday for winning the Grammys. Congratulations to Thames, but it's just cynical if you ask me. Nobody asked me anyways. I'm just saying, we just asked the president on his Twitter page, we asked him to consider probably being more vocal when certain things happen. It makes it look like there's really concern going on. We didn't know that the account was going to tweet at times because yes, the Grammy is fantastic, but we didn't think it had that level of weight for the president to tweet at it. Though, the president could tweet at something like that. It's amazing. It's a good look for Nigeria. Very, very good for the entertainment scene. Very amazing stuff. But we expected that account would also react when tragic things happen in the country, when Nigerians are reacting terribly to certain things. That account will probably offer explanation, offer relief and succor in certain situations, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So that's just about that. And also, a bunch of people have made a discovery about our Alibu, and I must say, because all of us are victims of this, the makers of Hollandia products, I'm calling you out this morning to ask you to please watch your products in the East and please confirm what it is that we're buying with our monies. All right, the stories that are coming out and the results and the reports that are coming out from your products, especially the milk products that families are using, and we're feeding it to the kids. We don't know who is distributing the fakest of it in the market, especially in Enugu and in the East. So I'm begging you this morning, the makers of Hollandia milk and all your products, I think you should be careful and watch out for the standard that it is that's in the market presently. Check and confirm if you are the ones who are distributing the products you have going around in the market presently. Please confirm that it is you who is distributing this product and certify us that you're the one who is distributing this, and guarantee us that we are buying safe products. Life and Medicare is expensive in Nigeria. For you to make us buy fake products with our hard-earned money, it is unfair. It is absolutely unfair. We pay you very fairly for your products that we use, and it is an agreement, and it is contractual that you keep your side of the bargain by giving us standard products because we are paying you for it. The industries in Nigeria must begin to respect the Nigerian consumer market. You are treating us like we don't matter at all. You have no respect for our money. You have no respect for value and the products that you are selling to us. It's become that bad. I know that your regulators have completely abandoned their jobs, just like most institutions around here. But I'm asking the owners of the product to please watch out for the things you are sending out in our markets. These products are delicate. These products, we're feeding them to growing children, for goodness sakes. everybody in this country. Those of you who are manufacturing these very terrible things and distributing it in the market, those of you, wet and committing all these terrible things and making sure that these terrible products are running around, you must be careful. And I'm calling on the government. I'm calling on the governor. Please, sir, can you find a way to look into this? At least, can you put some sanction in Obeta? Can you look into what it is that they are doing? For better, please, can you confirm that some of these products that are being distributed in town are from the right sources before you send us all to the hospitals with liver failures and kidney problems and diseases we do not know nothing about? And with the amount of money being spent on Medicare in this country, you must all consider this very, 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 very nicely. You must think about these things. I beg all of you, all of us, please. So the importers and the distributors and the retailers, all of you, we are all involved in this. Have mercy on each other. We must have mercy on each other. Please, let this greed not drive us to a point of madness. I'm begging all of us. Let's continue to review the news this morning. Don't forget to join me this morning on the newspaper reviews, 0706-048-5853. You can also call 0915-570-8347 to be a part of the program this morning. I'm reading out the stories on the Daily Post this morning. Dogara was sidelined by APC, rescued by Bala Muhammad, PDP ex-chairman Akuyam has alleged. Also, Okocha reveals the cause of River State political crisis. Trust me, you can catch up on that story on High Voltage News on YouTube this morning if you want to find out what Okocha had revealed about the political rivalry in River State. We have an entire series of the whole thing because there are people who I work with who from the Rivers area, and they are enthusiasts and they are very, very interested in the Fubara unfolding with Wike. So we have followed the story. It's interesting. All right. It's something to look out for. It's something different in our politics. It doesn't happen every time. So you might want to catch up on that one. All right. I think this is as good as it gets on the Daily Post this morning. Let me take you quickly to the Punch newspaper. Let's see what we can grab off over there. The phone lines are officially open. You can join me this morning. Let's look at some of the happenings in our country. This is about our lives. We have a right to ask for these things. We have a right to talk about these things. All right? Somebody has to say it. Somebody has to say it. The monies that you are making, that you're working so hard to make, it has to be spent with some level of dignity and some respect. There has to be some value added to it. And this goes for anybody who is indulging in distributing fake products in this country. You are not patriotic, you're not nice, you're not good, and you are a criminal. And I hope that the authorities find you because you are mean. If you are going to sell these kinds of products to people, especially when you know that they are sensitive like this. The thing that happened around me yesterday was appalling. And then when I tweeted this on the internet, there were responses that proved that this is not just an observation, it's a real thing that is happening. I'm calling out the people who are making these things to please check what it is that you're selling to us before you send us all to the hospitals. Please, these things are important that we look into them. The Punch News this morning: impeached South Korean President Yoon is in court again for hearing on his removal. All right, moving forward, a 5-year-old playing with matches have set a building on fire in Kwara State. Sad play. All right, moving on, INEC is to pay 1.12 billion naira to a family of a man killed by a driver. All right, I'm probably going to investigate that story. The first time I saw it this morning, I'm like, okay, what really happened there? All right, I guess there was an accident and there was an incident, and it's been dragging for so long. But I'm going to find out more on this particular headline, and I will tell you more about it. All right, let's talk to you. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You're welcome. Your name and location, please.
That's your principal from Abuan Road.
You're very welcome. How are you?
Really fine. Thank you very much. Like your guess is as good as mine when it as it concerns this NLC people.
Mm.
They are toothless bulldogs, and they keep talking up. I don't know how I would describe the actions of the NLC. Is it they try to make noise so that these people will come and see them, and possibly when down envelope is exchanged, they will just go and sit down. What type of thing is this? Can't they even respect themselves for the first time that they are going to have a strike, going to have demonstration, whatever, and people were praising them and people were supporting them? All of a sudden, they say it's no longer good to hold, that government has met them. What did government tell them? Government tell them that now reducing it from 50% to 10% as requested by the users. Is very unfortunate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Okechukwu, for calling. The NLC has scammed us with this protest business. And then it turns out it's always a committee. Once that committee has been promised, and then it's not like it's been set up, but the federal government says they will set up a committee to look into whatever reason why the NLC wants to go on any particular strike that they have put themselves up to try to do. But it never really works. We're still having the minimum wage conversation even today. The NLC is carrying on like the 70,000 naira that it had bargained apparently with the federal government is a thing now. It has moved on because as far as the NLC is concerned, Nigerian civil servants earn 70,000 naira minimum wage. These agendas are how we run. These agendas are how we roll. Because we had a committee, we've had a committee, and that's it. If the NLC really was the face of the Nigerian labor, we would probably have different results. You know, Joe Ajero, perhaps you like the way the people under your union are being treated. Perhaps this makes you happy. But this backing down at every threat you've made at the government is not necessarily the best move. I mean, come on, it doesn't even, you know, if it's bargaining, if it's negotiating, this is poor negotiating skills. You know, this is very poor negotiating skills. Very bad. If I was a businessman, you probably, you know, make it make sense. Because every time this has happened, the result has been the same. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's not my business. I don't know what you people discuss in your closed-door meetings and your committees. I'm not there. But I'm just saying, every time this process happens, we get to see the same thing. You know, we get to see the same thing. Through the corners, the protest that is averted, the reason why it was averted continues to happen. That's the point I'm trying to make. Because after all of this, Nigerians are still going to pay this hike. The federal government yesterday withdrew the electricity tariff hike, but it always happens. It's the same way you told us you weren't paying subsidies anymore, and then you told us you were paying subsidies, and now we're owing for subsidies, and it continues to go. It's the promises that are unkept. It's the dishonest words. It doesn't make sense, and we are watching because we are keeping score. It's not like someone is going to wipe off this thing from the face of the earth. These are facts. These are documented information kept in our libraries. These things are real. They are facts. And that's why we cannot continue doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Assis. How are you?
Very well. You're welcome.
Yeah, the Masses coming from Enugu.
You're very welcome.
The last speaker said it all about the labor union. They will blow hot today and blow cool tomorrow. Their liberal approach to unionism is quite questionable. Is by the way. Then on El-Rufai, you are talking about El-Rufai, am I right?
Yes, El-Rufai is in the news.
You know, the politicians will always be funny. You forget, the prior to 2020 to 2023 election, El-Rufai's son, I remember vividly, said that there's nothing that can stop Tinubu from winning the election.
Oh, you were there.
And he said that if Tinubu loses the election, he's going to climb to the Abuja mountain and write that El-Rufai is a fool. Are you getting me?
Mhm.
I'm quoting the song.
I'm with you completely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm quoting the son. I'm quoting the son of El-Rufai. That is what he said.
Yes.
That if Tinubu loses the election, he's going to climb to Abuja High Mountain and write that El-Rufai is a typical fool. And now I don't know why El-Rufai is taking the wrong way around. Then on the issue of the INEC that killed somebody and they're paying compensation, well and good. I think it's a nice one. But that compensation is just to placate the living.
Yes, but don't you think...
The law did not absolve the dead. We have law of institution where the living is absolved as well as the dead. God bless you.
Thank you. And God bless you as well. Have a great day ahead. These things are important that we hear feedback from the general public. Let's see the reactions. We have to know, we have to tell them, we have to give them information back as to how we are receiving all of this. If we're happy about this, then they can carry on with their policies. But if we're not, perhaps they might begin to check themselves and begin to ask questions to see if their policies are really what the people require. We cannot pretend we're not seeing these things, right? All right, let me continue to tell you what's on the punch before we go to our investigated stories this morning. Okay, still on the telecom tariff hike, the NLC halts protests as federal government plans to review panel, right? Also, Bola Ige's mother, Ladoja, demands Bisi Akande's apology and threatens legal action. Also, 200 billion naira monthly electricity subsidy benefits rich Nigerians, says Tinubu's aide. I just mentioned to you that despite the federal government withdrawing its claims to increase the electricity tariff, they withdrew that yesterday. I saw that in our investigator stories. It's been withdrawn from the federal government, but we've seen these withdrawals before because at the end of the day, it's still instituted, right? It's still instituted the same way that the Labour has been asked to back down as regards to the telecoms tariff hike, and they've backed down. And it seems like if you place a bet in the next 5 to 6 months, you might just be buying tariffs. You might just be buying data and airtime for twice the price that you're buying it now. But very slowly these informations are given, and the momentum is checked to see how it's been received by the people, right? And most times, let me tell you, we're usually silent when things like this happen, right? We don't have an outrage when we're told things that affect us directly. The only time we have an outrage is when someone's relationship is falling apart. And then there's a national outrage for someone's relationship falling apart. That is a family going through a breakup, their lives are turning over, and then we have a national outrage. We have a national blackout. But when we're being told that the monies in our pockets are going to reduce, our livelihoods are going to be tampered with, our food is not coming, our lives are going to be stunted and thwarted, we keep quiet, we're silent, we don't have an outrage. And it goes a long way to say, if we're really, really there, are we really conscious of our environment? Do we know really what's happening around us? Are we aware? Or are we actually following a process, following a plan, following a procedure that has been laid down for us? It's a question that we should ask ourselves collectively and individually too. Are we following a program? Are we following some plan? Or is the way our lives are supposed to look like? This is the way our lives are supposed to be, right? These questions are very important to ask. Moving forward, banks have cleared the major USSD debts to prevent service disconnection. I told you, remember this. It turns out we were owing over 7 billion naira in deficits from USSD services and other data-related control as regards to your bank information and security. But from the look of things, the central bank has through sanctioning of about 18 banks in Nigeria to make these monies available, because it's a backlog of over 10 years that they've been owing. So I believe they've come together, put those monies together, which they can afford to, because we do pay for these services. They are not offering them to us for free. So whatever reasons why they haven't paid them for 10 years, turns out it came and it had everybody hooked up, right? And now they've settled out the debts, and your services will remain, because imagine your data services, banking data service cut off, and your USSD codes not working. You might probably just shut the country down, because most businesses are done online these days. So look at that, right? So kudos to Cardoso and his people for making that one happen. And also, did you hear that Dangote has sprinkled a little bit of confusion in the oil market by reducing his price to 890 naira? And this is causing some discomfort. Some marketers had imported oil, or rather had imported crude, and now that Dangote has brought down his price, they are complaining that it's going to cause losses, because now that they can't sell at the price that they had imported at, it's going to cause some losses for them. And I read that in the news yesterday, and I thought to myself, okay, maybe it's time for the marketers to receive some loss too, because we have been on the receiving end of losses. We the masses, we the consumers, we've been receiving some of these losses. Maybe it's time that there's an equal distribution of losses. Maybe it's time for some marketers to experience some losses, because I believe that as Nigerians, the consumers, have been experiencing these losses, you have been making gains. We've heard how much the oil industry has made in 2024, and that is as much as you people have made in all of your lives in Nigeria. It's good market. It was a very good market year in Nigeria. Good oil market year in Nigeria 2024. You all made so much money you couldn't believe yourselves. This administration made the oil industry very lucrative for all of you. So now that there's going to be a global price reduction and tweaking, and now Dangote is playing at reducing the prices of petroleum at his depot, maybe, just maybe, the price of petroleum might just come down. And this might be good for the people for just a moment. I don't know till someone thinks of how to put a stop to it, but it's going to benefit the Nigerian public and the Nigerian masses, who are at the receiving end and have been at the receiving end of all of this oil business since almost 6 years now. From the previous administration ushering in the new one that made it tighter and made it worse. But the truth is, maybe, just maybe, the marketers can deal with some of these losses, and let's see if the consumers, if the Nigerian people can catch a little bit of break in this oil that is said to be our natural asset that belongs to all of us in this nation, but it seems to be favoring only just a particular group of people in the country, which is absolutely unfair. Look at that. All right, let's tell you that petrol price has dropped to 925 naira per liter at private depots. Now, I don't know if you've bought petroleum this morning, or maybe it hasn't gotten down here yet, but I will try to find out what it's the going price at Lagos. I will try to find out what's the going prices in Abuja. And of course, if you have purchased petroleum this morning, I'd really love to hear how much you've bought it for, right? Do you think the price, because I use public transport sometimes, and it turns out that the prices are not coming down at all. No, it's not. The price of transportation, it's still exactly where it was the last time you remember in 2024. It's right there. It's not coming down, especially down here where prices are not allowed to fall. They must remain as they are, which is another issue that we will probably have to deal with when we are ready as a group of people. But naturally, we're hoping that the price of these products come down, if possible, as much as below 1,000 naira, at least for this week, till we see if this is going to be normalized, and see further private depots will still bring theirs down, and see if there'll be a comparing market for the oil in the next coming weeks. right? Ogun Police, all right, power drunk monarchs has been suspended for 6 months. Oh yeah, yeah, some policemen have been very badly behaved in Ogun State. One of the police chiefs in Ogun State have been caught in very questionable behavior, where he was treating people in a very not so civilized manner, and now he has banked himself a 6 months suspension for very terrible behavior for someone in his person. All right, I think that's as good as it gets on the Punch News this morning. Let me quickly take you to our investigated stories. Let's see what I've gathered between yesterday and this morning. All right, so the Nigerian Labour Congress has suspended its planned nationwide protest against the recent 50% hike in telecom tariffs approved and provided by the federal government, right? This is coming also from the Punch News, and of course it goes into details, and this is where people actually get to give you their reactions. And this one says the NLC lost its respect and credibility more than 3 years ago. They are 4 times more disorganized than NEPA. Nigerians. All right, but you know, that's one of the comments that have followed this right from the news channel where it was tweeted. Of course, Nigerians react to things like this because people are watching. We are watching. It's our country. We live here. This is where we live our lives. This is where we spend our money. This is where we work. This is where we live and breathe. This is our home. So yes, there's someone always looking, there's someone always watching. Onyeka Nwaluo, professor, is losing his life. He's been all over social media, calling out political agents, calling out media houses, calling out a lot of Nigerians who had participated very wrongly in some of the terrible things that had happened to him and to other Nigerians here and outside of the country. And again, like I said, some of the stories that are coming out from here, from home, out of us every day, it's not necessarily significant, or it doesn't tally with the people who are as good as we sometimes assume ourselves to be. Godly, religious, kind and nice people. We are all of these things truly, but maybe not as good as we assume, not as far as we take it to be, right? Because deeply, the kinds of revelations that Professor Onyeka Nwaluo has been making since yesterday has been quite shocking, to say the least. You can follow that program. I will try to find it and have it up on the High Voltage News. All of his alleged experiences from some of these high and mighty. El Rufai came into the story. A few other powerful state agents have been also named by Professor Onyeka Nwaluo. It won't be the first time. You remember that time, not very long ago, that Senator Oshomole had made very shocking revelations about the vandalisms and the tragic and terrible things that were happening in our oil and gas industry, and who was the mastermind, where he fingered the ex and former retired army generals in Nigeria to be the chief and masterminds of some of these things that were happening in the oil and gas industry, you know, and it was just swept under the carpet, very nicely and quietly overlooked, and nobody called for investigations, nobody called for questionings, nobody responsible or held accountable for these kinds of revelations, because apparently it might open up canker worms and open up old wounds that nobody wants to deal with anymore, because the stench is overbearing, to say the least. Anyways, Ebonyi residents have flown their community as the death toll from herdsmen attack have risen to 16 from 8 that was counted over the weekend. I told you that I couldn't take this story yesterday because I wasn't sure of the information, and you must understand that here we necessarily have to deal with facts, because these informations are checked and observed very carefully. All right, so accordingly, yesterday none of the stories from Ebonyi made it into any of the national dailies, and I cannot give you hearsay informations, right? And I'm not an eyewitness, and I didn't have a lot of information to work with, so I couldn't give you any tangible information about that. But this morning, Sahara Reporters has brought this news out, right? So there are picture documents now to prove this story, which of course you can find on High Voltage News. But this is the reality of the situation, right? There's a terrible Fulani herdsmen problem in Nigeria. Ebonyi people have been complaining for years. It's not a new story, right? This is also calling out to Francis Mwifuru, my dear governor. I remember a time where we actually were in school together. You and your dear wife, we used to be very good friends back in press school, back at EPSO, back in the days. You know, very wonderful people. I beg you, my good man, could you please look into this? If it's possible, I've been expecting to see meetings between you and the Enugu State governor. I wanted to see meetings between you and the other governors in the Southeast. We're hoping to see a unity. We're hoping to see a bond between you five that will secure the East amazingly. Give it a tight grid that nobody can break. You know, we're expecting a union that will set changes that will blow the minds of everybody. You understand? And put us in better positions than we ever thought we could be. First things first, securing the Southeast should have been the first and most paramount priority. Props and kudos to Governor Peter Mbah, who has saturated Enugu State with security. Have you noticed? Have you noticed what's happening in town? They are everywhere. They are uniformed, they are ununiformed, they are tagged, they are untagged. They are everywhere. You could literally have a bunch of officers drive past you, and they're everywhere. You can literally feel that sense of security. And watch out. If you've not noticed, you know, keep your eyes out. Look out. You would see that the governor is doing something, especially, you know, within the territories that I've seen. You know, I haven't gone really into the villages to see how good it is over there. But I'm telling you, in the urban area, it is tight. It is tight. And that doesn't go for the CCTV surveillance and the, have you seen the helicopters surveillance? Now, we want to see more of these moves. We want to know that we're safe. We want to know that someone is looking out for us. We want to know that while we're struggling and trying to get all these things done, that someone is putting, you know, our monies into work. Someone is putting our sweat to work, and someone is looking out for our security. Someone is taking care. The pictures and the media we have coming out from Ebonyi State is not fantastic. Please, I'm asking the security forces and agents. You have all these what do you call this? You have all these military checkpoints all over the place. They are everywhere, pole to pole. You have all these checkpoints everywhere. They are everywhere. You put them everywhere. So how come we are having these attacks and not having any counterattack? We're not here. We want counterattacks. We want to know that someone is actually paying attention. We want to know that this is not all a joke. Governor Soludo has begun a movement in Anambra State where he is picking up all the people with questionable characters in Anambra State. And I'm hearing that the city is gaining some calmness, is gaining some quietness because some questionable characters are being picked up and questioned and being taken and things like that. We want to know that someone is looking out for the people, that someone is watching out for us, and someone is making sure that we're safe. That is the job of the government, to protect lives and property, because you have what it takes. You have the armed forces, you have machinery, you have power to secure lives and property. That is why government exists. So that's the updates coming from Ebonyi. I will find out more and I would let you know. Back in Rivers State, the government of Rivers State have budgeted 3.5 billion naira to renovate Governor Fubara's residence in 2025 after spending 3.2 billion naira on the same item in 2024. I don't know if you knew, but the governors have sent in their budgets for 2025. All of them did before the end of 2024. If you were listening, we were giving you the numbers and figures as soon as the governors were coming out with their budget plans, right? So we're able to tell you. So it turns out that during the reviews of these budgets, apparently River State is double padding for something that they've already fixed the year before. But now, that's just what's on the news. We're not necessarily, we don't know, but we'll see the unfolding. We want to hear what River State has as its defense for. They spent 3.2 billion naira on the governor's residence last year. That's billion. Jeez. And they're going to spend another 3.5 billion to renovate the same residence this year. So that particular one needs to really be checked. Okay, it needs to be checked. Have you heard the kinds of monies you people call when you're saying things like this? It literally gives one a headache. You're calling this in billions, renovating houses. Why wouldn't anybody want to renovate? You started an entire administration renovating the vice president's residence for 21 billion of Nigeria's resources. Of course, more renovations are on the way. What do you want me to say? Anyways, BRICS. Trump should discuss with Tinubu, says Ibrahim. All right, he will. He should. Okay, he should. Also, I told you about the behavior of a certain police chief in Ogun State. Well, this is more details to this, right? I have a media that I'm looking at, a live media, eyewitness with media, of a king in Ogun State boasting that he owns all the police in Nigeria and that he will send the man he has kneeling in front of him to jail. People thought that they were exaggerating, but then the police is very stylishly and cornishly becoming a tool of the highest bidder. This video contains threat to life and physical assault, and it doesn't come out good. But then this man made these statements, and also I told you about the police chief who also made certain statements to certain people in his constituent in terms of display of power and acknowledgement of power. Of course, we do know that you have power, but we're wondering the reckless display of power that we've seen in the past 2 years, roughly. Is there a reason why everybody seems to have a certain level of entitlement? Yes, powerful people conduct themselves a certain way, but we're beginning to see this very low level of display in terms of behavior and expression of power by most powerful people in our society. All right, is it a question of a deeper problem, or this is how powerful people are supposed to act? I don't know. If the times have changed, we would also like to know how they've changed. You see, I told you that Igbo women has called on the governors in the southeast to dismantle all the military checkpoints in the southeast. With the high presence of the military, insecurity and crime is out of control. We're not safe in the hands of military. This is coming from Igbo women. Now, but I've said this is really a delicate conversation. Do you think, because I know that I've had this conversation with a bunch of people, and a lot of people have made arguments that these checkpoints actually deter certain things from happening. And most people think that the checkpoints are some of the problems and that the checkpoints should go. Do you think the checkpoints in the southeast needs to go, or you think they should be regulated? Because some people believe that the presence of these military deters most actions, or deters most terrible people from doing what they would normally do if there weren't that heavy military presence, right? But we've also seen where these military agents and some of the security force agents, where they have people come down from their vehicles and make long long walk before they can, it's almost a mental torture. You have to come down, going to Owerri. I remember in 2023, December, I was trying to get to Owerri and I had to use public transport. It was one of the most annoying trips I've had on the road. It was one of my most annoying road trips because I had to come down up to 6 to 7 times and make a walk. And I'm traveling. I'm on the road for about 2 to 3 hours, and I'm supposed to head on to my journey. And you make me stop after every 30 to 40 minutes, and you have me stand up and lift my arms and then carry my things and then walk a certain distance and then get back into the vehicle. Come on. Is that the best that we can do? And this happens at every check. So does it mean that the first people who checked you couldn't find something that the third people or the second people won't find? Why do I have to be checked by 6 people? So before I could get to my destination, why am I being checked by 7 to 8 people before I get to my destination? And then this is negating the hairstyle and the offenses that will be picked by the way you're dressed and the way you look and all of that. Nigerians also, we have to deal with these things. Young men who have to explain why they have laptops and have good phones and their hairstyles and things like that, and they are traveling. And imagine that you have to have this conversation every time you stop. At every point you're stopped. So I'm wondering, is it really to our advantage that they are here? Do you think that they are helping to protect? Some people have a different opinion about their presence here, but it's safe. If you're someone who uses the roads, most people will say that it is safe to see them because it helps to feel safe and feel confident that you're actually protected. But the questions are too many in terms of the protection. The number of checkpoints you have to deal with, is that enough? And if we have this number of checkpoints here in the East where there isn't really a lot of terrible things happening, bad things happen here, truly, but also I get to report stories happening in the North as well. I report stories from the North. And the North usually makes an argument that they are the most porous in the country. They argue of the insecurity, they argue about the out-of-school children, they argue the poverty rate, and these are the highest you can get anywhere in the country. So we're asking, if we have these number of military checkpoints in the East, do we have this number of military checkpoints in the North as well, where hundreds of students can be transferred from villages and there wouldn't be any stop check to stop them or question them as to how they are moving these children. We have questions for days. So this is not to be confused, but just to find out, is this how it really works? Right? Is this how it works? Do we have this number of heavy military presence in other parts of Nigeria? If you know about this, do let me know. Are we the most secure in terms of having a number of military men on our roads? That's the Southeast. Are we more secure than other parts of Nigeria? And if other parts of Nigeria are not as safe as we are, do they have this much military presence in their environments? It's just like the military presence in Asaba, in Delta State, is mind-blowing. You can literally find military trucks in almost every street in Delta State. My experience, right? So we're just asking, this level of military presence in the East, do we have them in other parts of Nigeria that mostly complains of insecurity, banditry, and even terrorism more than we might here in the East, right? So the Igbo women has called out a plea to Ohaneze and Igbo, and of course to the federal government, to look into this. They're citing insecurity, mental harassment, and other things as the reasons why the level or the number of military presence in the East, especially on our roads, should be reduced, right? Okay, so that's as much as it goes this morning on the stories that we have been reviewing, because at the end of the day, this is all we have. This is our country. All right. The stories that come out of us are us. Right. You might say this is politics and it has nothing to do with you, but the stories that are coming out of here, we're all in it together. Right. I've tried to talk about the Hollandia situation. We found some very weird things in your containers. There are stories to last for days. We're just saying, I'm just asking the company this morning to actually look into it. If it's a distribution problem or someone is messing or fooling around with your products, maybe it's time to there's a way you do it. There's a way you people put some certification on your products where you can tell your customers and your consumers to watch out for certain signs or sigils or things as to identification of certification, because we deserve that. We pay you good money for these products. They're not free. We pay you tax. We pay for these products. We pay for them. So please, can you find out what it is that we are paying for and see if you can guarantee that it is what we've bargained to purchase from you that we're purchasing from you. All right? Because outside the financial or economic value, we're talking our lives, we're talking our healthcare, we're talking our lives generally. All right? What we're purchasing from you are consumables, milk, delicates that we give to growing children, that we give to aging people, sick people. These are sensitive products that deserve very sensitive attention, should be paid to products like this, right? So I'm asking the Hollandia Industries in Nigeria to please look into your products, especially the milk. You know, going about the liquid milk you have going about in the market, circulating in the market, especially in Enugu presently. Please look into that batch of products and see if they actually belong to you, because it doesn't actually seem like it belongs to you. Find out and communicate to your consumers how they can identify the product which makes sense. And I've also asked Governor Francis Nwifuru to please come to the aid of people in Ebonyi, his people who have been crying out to him to protect their lives, properties, farms, and communities. All right, we can't have people being sent out of their communities. It is not okay, sir. I've also heard about staff members of UNIZIC being owed for years, almost 6 years. I've heard. I have sent for messages. I've asked them to send me information about the UNIZIC situation. I will look into it and find out what's really going on and see if we can send out a plea to Governor Chukwuma Soludo to consider the people. My name is Mavis Atudume. While you're out there today, please can you try your possible best to be kind to yourself first of all, and then you might consider to spread it around to your neighbors, because that is the best way that we can conquer all of our problems. Love wins everything. All right, continue to be good and try to have a good morning as well.